Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here basically we are discussing about one topic, that is cities creation. In this basically we are discussing about 20% error. So one of the person told that basically that entire system basically has created this 200 people basically 200 people error basically. This story basically we have already discussed. So that's why basically I'm just telling 200 people's error. Then he told that yes basically 200 people. Assume that basically currently I'm in India, so I'm taking example of India country. So he told that basically 200 people basically, this basically really basically it has not happened basically, but few stories basically might be correct. For example, I basically went to Mumbai basically, I not got the job. That story basically is real basically. So here basically assume that basically in 200 I also exist. So assume that basically in 200 people basically, this story basically is the 200 people story basically are from India basically, India country. So one of the person told that 200 people basically are story basically are from India. That means that story basically was generated basically, one of the person told that basically. Then one of the person told that yeah basically just see the population of India basically. Then he told that basically yes basically, but population of India is there basically, that is 100% correct, but the income basically is also there na basically. Then he told that basically, for example, if you purchase iPhone basically, if you sells the iPhone in India, just see basically the income of the Apple group basically, that is also there na basically. Then he told that yes basically, that is the positive point. Negative is basically too much energy basically gets generates here basically. Then positive is you are getting good business also, that is also basically one of the point. Then he told that yes basically, so negative point is there, positive point are both are there basically. So that basically one person told them basically. So if you are basically getting up to that level of income basically, then company basically are, the companies basically are there basically. Governments should give the problems to the companies basically. If they can't handle basically 190 crore people basically, then creates the company na basically. Creates big company, creates small companies, big companies, for example, how basically the software basically people do, how basically the TCS company basically they do. They basically gets one problem, they got from, assume that they basically got one problem assume that that was my problem only, just taking as an example basically. In real basically this has not happened. Assume that somebody given the resume of Sunil R Nair to TCS, one of the team member. They basically told that no yeah basically my project basically doesn't suit. They basically checked up to the energy level also basically. No, like this basically 100 team basically rejected that resume basically. Assume that there was 100 team basically in TCS, they basically given resume to each other, 100 team basically rejected. So the company told that basically yeah basically he have 22 experience and you are telling that how basically you can say that basically. Then he told them watch his video basically, you can't basically see his video. Then he told them yeah, no basically we have not saw his video basically. Then one of the person told that then basically he told that we will do one thing, we will create a new team basically, that would be the 7 to 8 new team basically. There basically we will give the resume basically. If you are not able to solve the problem basically, then we will give that to that 7 to 8 people basically, 7 to 8 team members basically. Like this basically they given the resume, assume basically, just taking as an example basically. Then they basically solve the problem basically. Like this, just giving the example basically. In really basically they have not given the resume, that basically just taking example purpose basically. So like this basically 200 people basically error got generated basically. Like this basically, the one of the government told that basically like this we have created the companies basically, yeah. But if companies basically are not doing their task basically, that's we can't do anything, eh. We can't basically go to each and every company and tell basically why the low resume, do something basically. That type of thing basically government can't do, yeah basically. We also basically have reputation, we also have this that basically. Then basically they will going to tell like this only basically. They can only basically request basically, please basically help him, please help these 200 people basically. Nothing else basically they can do. And basically if they have helped, If the company, any of the one company basically might have helped, then basically this 200 problem basically might not have occurred basically. This problem basically might not have occurred, and to which 45 crore people basically died, that also might not have occurred basically. And assume that basically still the problem is there, then it will again basically might create problem to 45 more basically, then it will be become to 90 basically, 90 crore people basically. Then basically India will have to give the answer basically to the world basically. Up to what level the world will also say that basically yaar, ignore is it India, it's our friends basically. Then basically they will not ignore basically. And then basically the political people only will be responsible. Why? They were supposed to control the companies basically. They were supposed to control the company. Then one of the person told that basically we don't want to give the job only basically to that person basically. Then in necessary basically it might possible in future only they will get the issue basically. In future that's why basically the government says that basically whatever problem we get, literally we solve the problem basically, because we have a experience that whatever problem basically we have ignored it, at last basically it has came to us only basically, and that time basically it was very tough time basically. So whatever problem they gets, they literally solves the problem basically. That's basically government experience basically. Same way basically government are equal to companies basically. Companies also basically whatever problem they get, they immediately basically solves the problem basically. Immediately basically they solves the problem basically. So universe group basically will never going to end the world basically, but sorry, never going to disappear the world basically, but it might possible that the generation of world basically might get end basically, but that also basically they will do very very rare basically, very rare case basically they will do, in very rare basically they are going to do this basically. So this is basically system basically, and that's very bad system basically. 200 people basically converted into error, and not a single system basically was able to help the people basically. For example, in Mumbai basically there are more than 1 lakh people who basically income is more than, sorry, their bank balance is more than 100 crore basically, right? Then one person told that yes basically, and in Mumbai basically there are more than 10 to 20,000 software companies, small big basically. Yes basically you are correct. So there was nobody basically who basically solved these 200 people basically. Assume that this 200 people basically problem was passed to Mumbai city also basically. Then he told that yes here basically. That means if their human resource group basically are not working or basically or what basically. Then they might, then the human resource, when the person asked to the human resource, they told that basically we have passed the resume basically. We have the proof also that we have sent the resume basically. Do you want the proof basically? Then they basically say that basically that is our software only basically. Few company basically create the proof that basically they are really basically they have not sent the resume, but they have, that's a software na basically. Software can do anything basically. They literally generates the sent mail basically from with the help of the database basically. They basically will contact few database group basically, or basically contact the software creator. They will basically literally dumps the data basically. This type of thing also basically can happen basically. That's why I'm telling you. So anything basically can happen basically. So like this basically, one of the person told that basically HR are basically like this basically. They literally prove that basically we have sent the data. We have sent the data basically. Like this basically, the groups basically are also there basically, who says that basically we have done our duty basically. But the technical team basically told that basically sorry yaar, he basically doesn't suits to our profile basically. Then basically we have rejected basically. Then one of the people told that basically we have sent the data to the each and every projects group basically, but the project also basically was not suiting his blood cells data basically. That's why we rejected it. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this.